Hi Vidya and welcome to the show, The Dialogue, and thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, thank you for inviting me, Vickey Lalwani, as I always like calling you. I call you by your full name, na?
Yeah, rarely anybody does.
Yeah. So how have you been?
Well, I'm fine and uh, just hanging in this turbulent times.
Right.
What's up with you? How is it going?
Yeah, no complaints. Yeah, lots to be grateful for, I guess. Um, I think we're all safe,
Mhm.
um, you know, and our loved ones are safe. And I think at this point, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, that's the prime concern and perhaps the only concern at the moment. Yeah.
True, true, absolutely.
So yeah, I'm very happy that tomorrow your movie, the short film Natkhat,
Yeah.
is going to be premiered on the online
Mm,
film festival via One. Tell me, Vidya,
right.
right from the beginning, the poster looks very promising. How did this all happen? Tell me what the film is about.
So, really, Natkhat is a story of a mother and child.
Hmm.
And I don't want to divulge too much at this stage because it's, premiering tomorrow. But I will tell you that it is, I think, um, it's this mother who's trying to change the child's perspective or understanding of gender relations, um, and trying to instill in him the belief that we are all children of the same God. No one is lesser, no one is more. So even though she is, she, oh God, I'm struggling because I don't want to give away too much. But anyway, I'll try to say it as clearly without giving away the story. But she herself is a victim of domestic violence. But a lot of women don't have the strength or the courage or the conviction to stand up for themselves. But when it comes to their children, they'll push the envelope. And that is true for Surekha also. So she's really, through the device of her story, she's trying to change the way her child looks at women.
Hmm.
You know, so when Shan Vyas narrated it to me the first time, I thought, wow, doesn't this require a feature film? And I was quite amazed that he wanted to tell it as a short film. So I said, Chalo, I've never done a short film. I've been offered many short films in the past, but nothing grabbed me like this one did. I also think because, when it's a short film, for example, you can reach it to schools all over the country. That would be Ronnie's and my dream, really, that this is shown in every school in the country because it should make people think. What change it affects, that is not within our control. But as long as it makes someone sit
But
back
it's
and
a
say,
lesson.
is there something we are missing? Is there something we need to recalibrate? Is so I think I felt that a short film was a great way to be able to do that. And I said yes. And then Ronnie told me, he said, I don't have the money to pay you. It's a short film. So can I offer you producer credit? I said, why not? Not that I had any intentions of turning producer, but I'm happy that my name is attached to this film as actor and producer.
No, but before I go forward, I must say that, equal credit to Ronnie and even Siddharth, after they branched out, they are doing films with, which are relatively different and uh,
Yeah,
the content which they have brought in. I mean,
yeah.
uh, at times can be okay, debatable. For example, I'll tell you very frankly, I was not very impressed with Sonchedia. But
Right.
the other films which I have seen, which they have forwarded and brought it out, have been absolutely very impressive. And that in that one,
I think that's been, that's been even UTV, um, before it was taken over by Disney.
yeah.
I think that the USP of UTV was the fact that they were doing content that was very, it was cookie, um, what is that? It was a clutter breaker
Hmm.
sort of um, content. So I think they've always done very differentiated, very interesting, diverse content. And that's very exciting to watch. Even now, when they're
Absolutely.
branched out on their own, I think that is a sensibility. So they'll continue to do that. Some will work, some won't work, but
Yeah, no, I'll tell you my only
yeah,
with Sonchiriya, the language was a deterrent to me. So because I couldn't grasp every word of it, and I think many of us didn't. But anyway, moving on. Uh, Tell me, you're not only acting but producing this film also, correct? What did
yeah.
you find were the advantages of doing that, and what were the specific challenges you faced?
Like I told you, I've not really been a hands-on producer on this film. Ronnie has a great team. They took care of everything. They offered me producer credit. But
Hmm.
here I'm my contribution as producer comes more in terms of making sure that it gets the right kind of platform. So I'm promoting the film not only as an actor but also as producer. So in it's not too much work honestly, but as I think in planning how we want to position it, in making sure that we grab eyeballs, get it visibility, that's where my contribution as co-producer comes in.
Fine. Tell me,
I can't take credit for really producing it otherwise.
but it's really a step, one step ahead you've gone
Right.
in your remarkable
No,
career.
and I'm very happy that my name is attached to Natkhat as actor and producer.
But before I, go further, I want to ask you. You mentioned that the mother is rearing up the child in a different way with,
Yeah,
making sure
yeah,
of all the values right from the beginning
mm,
as much as she can. Uh,
yeah.
do you think this is one of the reasons here, especially, wherever the domestic violence is on the increase, and that we have ingrained different set of beliefs in sons and different set of beliefs in daughters.
Oh,
There you are told that you have to be submissive, and here you are told no, you can do whatever you want. You are not answerable, you come late. The rules are different, and has this
yeah,
also led to
absolutely.
the imbalance? Because that's how I see it. I don't know how you see it as.
No, I think you've hit the nail on the head, because it is about men have a certain sense of entitlement. They feel they have a right to do what they want to be doing. And even if that means, you know, um, taking out their frustrations on a woman by being physically violent, or fulfilling their sexual desire by raping a woman. I think it's all finally, it boils down to, in my understanding, it boils down to a power play. It is about wanting to assert that you are the one in power. But to me, someone who does that is actually an extremely weak person. And, you know, and not to condone anyone's wrongs, but I'm saying we're all equally party, or we're all equally to blame when it comes to these crimes against women, perpetuating crimes against women, because we're all grappling. See, there is an understanding that men and women should be equal, and we're all working towards that. But there is some part of us, there is, conditioning, the way we've been brought up. Even if you've been told you have every right to be equal to a man, if you've seen your mother be very subservient to your father, then that's what you're going to learn. It's not just what you're told, it's more importantly what you see. So, which is why, there's so much of a conflict going on in all our minds. We're trying to change it, but it's going to take a long time before the situation completely changes. And therefore, I'm not saying that any crime is pardonable. But having said that, I'm saying we have to also understand where it's coming from.
Hmm.
Those men know different, because they've been told कि आप तो राजा हो, आपकी मनमानी चलेगी. You know?
Correct. And it's happening in every strata of society. It's just
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there is, it's not restricted. We think that अगर educated हैं तो शायद उन families में ऐसा नहीं होता होगा, पर ऐसा नहीं है. It's really, um, it makes you realize that it's really, we're all still, it's work in progress for everyone, whichever strata of society, however educated, liberated, evolved you think you are.
absolutely, absolutely. I was just saying that because it's just those
Yeah,
it's just those upper stratas where the screams maybe don't come out, where the topic is not
yeah,
openly discussed, just because of those
yeah,
three words that log kya kahenge.
yeah. No, and I think, it's across the board, it's deplorable. Wherever it happens, for whatever reason, people are asked to keep quiet, you know?
But there's one other factor also, which is also playing a role. The craving for the male child
Mm.
has still not decreased so much than what it should have by now. That whole, you know, that son is still,
Yeah,
maybe on the face of it may not be there. In offices, it may not be there. In working class, in an independent woman, it may not be there.
no, but I know people who are very well educated, who are, so-called evolved, free-thinking people who've had two daughters and who've tried for a third child because they want a son.
Yeah, absolutely.
So these are all, and whatever they say, nahi yaar, it's just that balance ho jati hai family mein, aisa nahi hai.
Family complete ho
I think
jayegi.
family complete ho jayegi, ye sab bahane hain.
I know.
I really feel that you're absolutely right about the fact that, that lure of the male child has not, uh, even if it's reduced very marginally.
Yeah.
It should have disappeared by now, which hasn't happened. But I think that again goes back to when you value your women more. सिर्फ उन्हें पूजने से, उन माता रानी का हम लोग फोटो लगा के रखते हैं, नवरात्रि मनाते हैं, उसका कोई मतलब ही नहीं है अगर आप घर में जो है, आपके घर में जो देवी है, उसको आप इज्जत नहीं दोगे, सम्मान नहीं दोगे, तो इसका कोई मतलब नहीं है. कोई माता रानी आपको ब्लेस भी नहीं करने वाली, ये मैं दावे के साथ कह सकती हूँ. you know
Yeah.
हम लोग काली को पूजते हैं, दुर्गा को पूजते हैं, लक्ष्मी को पूजते हैं, संतोषी माँ को पूजते हैं, पर you know it's it's shocking that people don't respect the women in their houses, but they're ready to do like navratri 9 दिन बिना खाए आप व्रत रख लोगे, पर you're treating the woman so badly at home.
वो भी हस्बैंड कई व्रत, आई डोंट नो अबाउट ईच एंड एवरी, बट वो हस्बैंड के नाम पे रखे जाते हैं, हस्बैंड की लॉन्ग लाइफ के लिए
या
रखे
नहीं,
जाते हैं.
मैं कह रही हूँ कि men also keep व्रत ना during navratri and all.
Yeah.
Men also, but you're doing that for a picture, for an idol. What about the goddess at home? First recognize her. There's a god, there's a goddess in each one of us. If we are not going to recognize and honor that, honor her, or honor that god in each of us, then I'd say that your faith amounts to nothing. And I'm being very judgmental when I say this, but I don't care.
My next question, when you do a film, you have about 3 hours or maybe 2.5 to flesh out your character. when you do a web series, which are fast gaining momentum now,
You have even more time.
yeah, I think they're getting a bit too much, but that's my individual opinion. You have days, and I mean, you have episodes and hours to add layers to it, etc. But when you're doing a short film, you just have that very, very limited time. It could be 15 minutes. It could be what's the length of your film, by the way?
I think it's a little more than 20 minutes.
Yeah. So 15 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe even 30. But in that,
Yeah.
how does your approach change as an actor? You are a very in-depth actor. You have a process. How do you approach that?
For me, I think, Vicky, it's really in the writing,
Hmm.
because you barely have. The child has a more prominent role in this short film.
Hmm.
I have a smaller role.
Hmm.
So within those few scenes, I have to establish my character.
Hmm.
But like you said, you're not peeling onion layers in a short film.
Hmm.
You're seeing an aspect of the person's life. So whatever is relevant to that aspect, you see in that one or two scenes, one or two or three, jitne bhi scenes hain. So I think it's really in the writing. They have to crack it in the writing.
So
Once it's cracked in the writing, then as an actor, for me, in one scene, I can do what I have to, but you have to make sure that whatever is relevant to your story, your character traits, that or your personality, what part of your personality is relevant to the storytelling, gets communicated in those few scenes that you have. So that really is up to the writer and the director.
So you made it very sure before saying yes to it, that okay,
Yeah,
I,
absolutely.
I see those regions, I see those areas, I see those scenes. That
Yeah. Honestly, it was a little difficult for me, Vicky, because I'm the sort of person who, if someone pushes me like this, I'll turn back and push them even harder, you know, especially as a woman. So to accept that she does not do anything when she's getting physically abused at home, it took a little bit for me to get my head around that.
hmm.
But having said that, I know that this is not me. This is Surekha. I have to be true to Surekha. Surekha would keep quiet, but at least she's trying to change the way her son looks at women, so that her son does not do that to his wife tomorrow or to any other woman. So I think that took a little bit of time, but um, in my conversations with Shan, I think I made my peace with that.
I completely agree with you that this should be a part of some viewing in schools, because this will be a lesson in
Yeah,
upbringing.
yes, absolutely. I hope we are able to achieve that dream of taking this film to all the schools across the country.
No, and it helps, especially if you have a mainstream actor, right there in the center,
Yeah,
propagating that.
right. Yeah, true, true.
So,
Hopefully.
so my next question, which is related to this, is the short films in India have never been part of the mainstream, at least
Yeah,
not yet, and have been only restricted to film festivals and indie circles, right? Now, in
yeah.
fact, you are a rare mainstream actor who, at the prime of her career, is not only acting in one, but also producing it. Why do you
Yeah.
think so far the mainstream actors have not gravitated towards this? And do you think this can be the torch bearer the way forward?
I, I don't know about that, whether this can be a torchbearer, but I feel, Vicky, that um, because mainstream actors want to do work that people will watch, and short films really did not have um, that scope for visibility. Like you said, it was mainly at film festivals, and how many people go to a film festival?
Yeah,
While I enjoy going to film festivals, but I'm saying, it's a limited viewing. Whereas
yeah,
today, because short films don't get released in theaters, whereas today, with your OTT platforms, with YouTube, You can just upload your short film and the world can watch it. So it's becoming a more, even I would want to do work that people that I know that people can watch. I don't want to do something just for the, you know, ऐसे ही है भाई, अगर कोई देखने वाला नहीं हो ना. But I knew that this would get, whether it was at film festivals, of course, we were hoping to send it to film festivals, but COVID happened, and thankfully We Are One is happening. So, you know, 21 film festivals from the world over have put together this digital festival. So it's going to be available to a larger audience. And then hopefully we're in talks with OTT platforms. And, you know, hopefully it will be available on some OTT platform soon. So that will be permanent visibility.
So what are the challenges you faced? I mean, I think the part of the question you answered earlier, but is that the challenge which you faced the most in this film? I asked this as you as a viewer and as a producer as well. I mean, the distribution part of it, the apprehension that how much will it reach, and what did you do?
Yeah.
How many people you reached out to before you came to this? You know, this We Are One festival. I mean,
No, thankfully, you know, Mami was invited to be part of We Are One, and Mami selected us.
oh,
Mami selected 5 films, but I believe one film was, you know, is already going to be released on an OTT platform, so they didn't want to show it at the festival. But 4 of the 5 films they selected are being shown at the festival. So I think really we didn't have to do much work there, because we had already written to the festivals. We were going to send our films there. We had also written to Mami. Obviously, the selection process hadn't yet started, right? Before that, all this happened. So Mami knew of our film, and therefore, when this opportunity showed up, they said, you know, we'd like to showcase your film as part of um, uh, Mami's screening list at We Are One. So in that sense, we didn't have to put in much work. We would have had to put in a lot more work if we were going to be showing at various festivals across the world. But again, that didn't happen. But now with the OTT platforms, thankfully, you know, again, that Ronnie is very well healed. So he's taking care of it. But, you know, how do I say this? I'm not doing the groundwork in that sense, but I am contributing in my own way.
so is there a possibility that you and Rani is there a possibility that you and Ronnie collaborate more on short films now with larger issues?
You know, no, I think this just happened. It's not like I wanted to do a short film. It was an interesting short film that was offered to me, so I ended up doing it. If there is something else in the future, maybe. But, you know, honestly, like I said, I never thought of turning producer. This was obviously Ronnie's way of getting me to do the film, and it worked. But yeah, I haven't thought of, you know, I'm not thinking, oh, I want to do more short films, or I want to do short films and um, to further a certain cause or no, nothing of the sort, not yet.
But you know, I must say this as we draw towards concluding part of this interview, that whenever I've seen you and met you, I've always found you much more evolved than the last meeting or maybe 2 meetings before that. You know, over a span of 2 meetings, I see, okay, Vidya has evolved further. And this is what I'm seeing again now, that you are being so accommodating to the different kinds of...
Vickey, thanks. To different media, you mean?
Yeah,
You know,
open to the different kinds of, you know, the platforms, etc. So
I'm a hungry actor, Vickey. I just want to keep acting. So wherever there's an opportunity, if you tell me there's an interesting film that we can make on the phone, will you act in it? I'll say yes. If it interests me, I'll do it. मुझे acting से मतलब है. And I'm very glad that today there are multiple opportunities for me to explore, you know.
yeah.
मुझे सब कुछ करना है as an actor.
But
But
just to,
thank you for that lovely compliment.
but you deserve that. I mean, I've never said anything to flatter you.
Why?
That's a good question now. That's a good question. You are in your elements, and we'll wrap up this with just asking you that, since you open to all these platforms, and now your movie Shakuntala Devi also a possibility of going on OTT.
It
Is it?
is releasing on Amazon.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah,
now that is confirmed also, as you say. Uh,
yeah.
how how much do you see this whole conflict between, how do you see it, the conflict between producers and the exhibitors? A producer is sitting at home, Siddharth, I mean, who is a leading producer now, and the exhibitors down south, threatening that, okay, we will not release this one's film, that one's film in future. uh, I don't know how much it holds, because eventually when the films start releasing, uh, so how do you see it? You think the films should be start going to OTT till everything settles down?
I think to each his own. Basically, Shakuntala and many of these other films were made for the cinema to be shown at the theater. But because of this situation, we've taken a call to release it on a platform. See, you have to also realize that everyone cannot afford to wait. For a medium sized film like Shakuntala, the interest rate on the funds raised will keep going up,
Multiply.
which will add to the cost of the film. And when we finally release next year, there'll be so many of those bigger films. And I hate to say this, but for all you know, we won't get enough number of screens and
Yeah,
shows.
yeah.
So everyone has to do what's best for them. Of course, we made it for the theater, and we are bummed that we can't release it on a theater. But we're so sorry, and we are bummed we can't release it in a theater. But we're so glad today and so grateful that we have the opportunity to release it on Amazon Prime, which will also take it to a large audience. Because, like I said, you want your work to be seen by everyone. But films will be continued. Films will continue to be made for the big screen, and there will be content that is made purely for the platforms. And in a situation, this is a very unique situation. No one is doing it, to spite the exhibitors or anything like that. And I also understand that the exhibitors got upset, because I think everyone is very anxious. There's so much stress. So it's fair. Things will settle down. When things settle, I don't think any of this will matter.
Hmm. I understand what you're saying. So what's next
Mm.
after Shakuntala?
You, I finished one schedule on Sherni, a film I'm doing with Amit Masurkar.
Hmm.
So hopefully, when shoots resume, we'll resume our shoot in the jungles of MP.
Yeah. So my next question is
Mm.
that, are you also in talks while you're sitting at home with other projects, and also maybe auditioning for some web series? Some actors told me they're auditioning for web series from home. Because the way
Really,
forward
thankfully,
is a little, clouded. At this moment, our web series going to rule the roost for the next
yeah.
year. Movies kitne honge, kitne nahi honge. So are you also getting into all that?
No, no, actually, thankfully I've not had to audition since my audition for Parinita. So there's none of that happening. But I've not even been taking narrations, because I feel the post-COVID world is going to be a different world. I don't want to sit and make decisions at this time that I will not be able to honor once the lockdown is released. I think
Hmm.
I'm just taking this time to not think about work in that sense.
Hmm.
I think once the dust settles, there will be clarity as to what kind of films I want to do. So I'm not really reading scripts or doing any narrations at this point.
You don't want to, overburden with yourself with commitments, and then suddenly it opens up and you see, okay, I want to do this film, that film, but how do I do it if I've already committed? That's what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. And I just feel that probably I don't know. Firstly, when we are going to be able to get back to work. once you get back to work, suppose we get back to work, I don't know, in a couple of months from now,
Yeah.
I think once the lockdown is relaxed, once we start going out into the world, we'll also get a sense. There's no point saying yes to something if our shoots are going to be very scattered.
Mm-hmm.
And there is one script, there is one idea that I've really liked and they're working on the script of that. When that gets ready, if that gets ready soon after the lockdown, who knows? I might end up doing that. But again, who knows how shoots are going to happen? So I feel this is not the right time to take any decisions in that sense. So I've just been enjoying this time. Um, yeah, um, keeping myself happy and positive, praying. you know, there's a lot to be grateful for and there's a lot to pray for. So I feel ki once the dust settles, I'll take um, some calls on the way forward,
ऐसा लगता है
or
कि
I'll take a call on the way forward.
ऐसा लगता है कि लॉकडाउन के बाद स्टोरी टेलिंग भी शायद चेंज हो जाए, बिकॉज you know you have always spearheaded such subjects where you have been so involved. Hello.
Yeah,
I said
yeah,
you
yeah,
always
yeah.
spearheaded subjects where you are always mostly playing the central role. And do you think, as somebody who is so close to the game, do you think that ahead after the lockdown, the storytelling may also change? The kind of storytelling we have
I
had
think
in the
so.
recent past.
I think so. We can't run away from the fact that this period has altered us, made us realize certain things, or at least made us consider our choices. Look at the wide variety of possibilities. If I told you 2 months ago that this is how we're going to be doing an interview, would you have believed me? The game has changed in more ways than one. And I don't just mean in terms of films. Our lives have changed. So I definitely think the kind of content that gets created, what we put out, is going to change for sure. The way we approach our work is going to change. That's my personal
Approach
opinion.
our work is fine, I understood, but the content is going to change in which direction?
I think that I don't know. That we'll have to wait and watch, but I definitely think it's going to change.
I personally feel that you may not have a very extravagant set and a very
Yeah,
big film going on floors for at least maybe 1.5 2 years, because there's always this
right.
fear in the mind that what if again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But having said that, I think we'll all take precautions, but you can't stop living.
Yeah.
Just going to throw this in. Do what we have to. We'll mess and use sanitizers and maintain social distancing, but we have to live our lives.
That's right. You might have done
Yeah.
interviews what's in your bag some 10 times in your life, but now one thing which is added in your bag is a sanitizer, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. I have a little sanitizer bottle attached to my handbag, to the handle.
Wow. So you don't have to open the bag also.
Yeah, exactly. But
Well,
not that we're going anywhere to use the bag.
well, Vidya, thank you so much for joining me. I would have
Thank
loved to
you.
continue this conversation with you for the longest time, but I'm hoping this lockdown gets over fast and we catch up. Stay in touch,
Yes.
and thank you once again.
Yeah. Thank you for your thank you, and thank you too, and take care, Vickey Lalwani.
Thank you.